Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Olson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. Why is it that we so often eat something that we specifically don't want to eat or drink? Or should I say something that we both want to eat and don't want to eat? Something that creates cognitive dissonance for us because it works against our weight or our health goals. Why do we do it? It's because of how we think it will make us feel, which often stems from associations we've made between certain foods and situations. The better we understand that, and the more we raise our awareness of it, the easier it will be to change the narrative. Not that the goal is perfection. It really isn't. The goal is just to feel like you're in control of what you eat, rather than what you eat or drink is in control of you. It's time to take your power back, and I'm going to show you how. But first, let's look at a couple of examples. An obvious one to me in the summertime is eating ice cream. I both want to eat it because I love ice cream, and I also don't want to eat it because I know if I have it too often, it's not good for my health and it's not good for my weight. My blood sugar is nearly in the prediabetes range, which is so surprising to me, but it is. So if I indulge in ice cream too often, there's truly a health implication, which I may well see the next time I get my labs checked. Why is it even an issue then? Why do I want it at all when I'm concerned about my blood sugar and want to maintain my healthy weight? Well, one reason is because it tastes so darn good. I love vanilla ice cream, a simple version without all of the ultra-processed ingredients. Even without emulsifiers and flavor enhancers, it's just so delicious on a hot summer day. The other reason is because of how I think it will make me feel. Happy, relaxed, fulfilled. You'd think I was talking about getting married or starting some passion project, not having a scoop of Haagen-Dazs. But underlying the thought, I want that, is a longer explanation. I want that because it will make me feel like I'm on vacation, like I'm happy and celebrating, like life is good and everything's going to be okay. You'd think my prefrontal cortex would win out. That's the intelligent, rational part of our brains. But actually, it only wins out sometimes, right? Other times, the primitive part of our brains win out. The part that says, I want that, I deserve that, and maybe I'm powerless in the face of vanilla ice cream. When I talk about raising awareness, I mean acknowledging that I have these two competing parts of my brain. There's the part that feels a wave of desire, of wanting, and it's going to keep nudging me toward the freezer. There's the other part that's busy adulting and reminding me about my blood sugar and the scale. Tapping into that prefrontal smart part of our brain takes practice and self-coaching. I like to strengthen it by scheduling my treats and then just sitting with the discomfort of waiting when I want something now that's not scheduled until Saturday. This is one of the many strategies we talk about and practice in my online program. I'll say to myself, it's okay to want it. That's super normal. It tastes delicious, and almost everyone would enjoy ice cream on a warm summer day. But, Lisa, I didn't plan it for today, so I'm just going to sit with the discomfort of wanting it without eating it. I'll have dessert on Saturday as planned, and that may well be vanilla ice cream. And then I'll do my best not to run away from it, but rather just to let myself experience the discomfort without making it a drama. Typically, a craving will pass in 20 to 30 minutes, so sometimes I'll decide to use a delay and distract approach until my brain has settled down. Let's look at another example. There are so many easy examples of emotional eating related to stress that I could share, but I thought it might be more helpful to share a subtle example about contentment and emotional eating. By the way, you might think you're not an emotional eater, but I would suggest that if you ever find yourself eating a treat off plan, it is related to emotions, possibly subtle emotions that stem from your thoughts. Back in the early 1990s, I was dating someone whose parents lived about half an hour away in a beautiful suburb of Chicago. They had a normal size yard, not too big, but it was so welcoming. In the spring, summer, and fall, his parents would set up chairs in a U shape facing the garden, with an umbrella creating cool shade over the sitting area. His mother would always give me a tour of the garden when we arrived, showing me the zinnias, the cannas, the phlox, and the nicotina, and making me a bouquet to take home every summer visit. His mom was one of those super sweet moms who showed her love through food. Oh my gosh, did she ever. She was the best cook, too. When we started dating, he would invite me to his parents' yard to sit outside and talk, watching the flowers, the butterflies, the birds, all while eating appetizers and drinking wine from a box, which we thought was both awesome and hilarious. Those were such carefree days. Coming from a family with parents who were divorced, this simple weekend ritual of sitting in the yard with his family seemed idyllic to me. I just loved it. Sometimes his adult siblings or other extended family members would be there too, each one more interesting, intelligent, and warm than the next. I came to associate sitting around on a weekend afternoon, eating delicious appetizers followed by gorgeous homemade dinners and desserts with the feeling of love, belonging, and relaxing. You can see where this is going, right? At the time, I didn't see where this was leading, on the scale that is, because I didn't own a scale. But eventually, the happy weekends out in the yard did show up in the form of extra weight. I'm not sure I would have traded that experience for anything, but I do realize now how easy it was to put on weight without realizing it because I leaned into my thoughts that this is how life should be. Even now, decades later, I still sometimes find myself wanting to sit in my own yard, eating creamy cheeses with crackers, having crab dip or artichoke dip, a glass of wine, and some company. And that's not to mention a delicious dinner and dessert. Why do I find myself wanting this large amount of food? Definitely more than what I need. Because of how it makes me feel, right? Remember, our actions are driven by our thoughts and feelings. Eating all afternoon out in the backyard feels peaceful, relaxing, welcoming, and loving to me. This is a big part of what we do in our Smart Weight Loss coaching program. We raise our awareness of the feelings that drive our decisions and habits. If I want to feel relaxed, peaceful, and connected to my family or friends, it's normal that I would recreate the scene that made me feel that way in the past. But as you might imagine, eating cheese and crackers, drinking wine, and then having a full dinner and dessert every weekend night is not really a recipe for weight loss. Probably not for weight maintenance either, for that matter. Here's how we can break it down. If we're taking an action because of how it will make us feel, we can pull that out of our subconscious. If I want to feel peaceful, relaxed, and connected, a box of crackers is not the only thing that can create those feelings for me. I can create those feelings with my thoughts. I can curate new thoughts to drive the feelings and actions I want to experience. For example, I can choose to think, it's so peaceful to be in the backyard drinking sparkling water with a squeeze of lime while listening to music and talking with my husband. That's a true thought. With that thought, I'm generating feelings of connection and relaxation without all of the food and wine I previously associated with it. Now, it's true that a habit takes more than a moment of thought planning to change. But the next time I catch myself suggesting we grab some snacks, some wine, and some cushions for our outdoor chairs, I'll try to practice this new thought. It's so peaceful sitting outside drinking sparkling water with my husband. Anytime we try to deliberately change a thought to drive a different action, it's helpful to do a little math. How many times have I associated sitting in the backyard eating appetizers and drinking wine with relaxing? Well, if you go all the way back to the first association with my friend's parents in 1990, I'm going to guess I've reinforced that association hundreds of times. It's understandably normal, therefore, to need a little practice and repetition to uncouple relaxing in the backyard with drinking wine and eating appetizers. How do we do it? It's all about repetition. Every time you make a little progress, even a tiny step in the right direction, you've got to celebrate it and then repeat it. If I had that experience 300 times, I might need to sit in the yard with nothing but a sparkling water 50 or 100 times before that becomes easier. Maybe even 150 times before it feels just as relaxing as the older system. But eventually it will start to shift. So patience and repetition is the name of the game. We don't have to meet the habit change with the same number of times we practice the original habit, because the more recent action will be the one you remember best. Of course, sometimes things will happen to throw you off track. We can anticipate that too. You know what we say in those moments? No sweat, reset. No big deal, just dissect it like a scientist. What happened? What were you thinking that led you down that old familiar path? All of our actions can be traced back to our thoughts. We think something, often almost unconsciously, and it impacts our feelings and actions. These moments where you find yourself going back to an old pattern might derail you if you think, I blew it, now I have to start all over. When you think that, you feel defeated, and we all know that when we feel defeated, we often don't even try. We just do what feels good, which in this case might be more summer nights of wine and cheese in the backyard. So don't trash talk yourself when you slip back into an old habit every now and again. Just try to find the learning from it and get right back in the saddle for next time. With that in mind, what's your NBA, your next best action for today? I'll share mine. I used to make NBAs like, I'm never eating ice cream again, or I'm only eating ice cream on my birthday. But that's just ridiculous, honestly. We don't need to live like that. My new MBA is to plan ice cream twice a month during the summer. I'm pretty sure I can have 1 scoop of vanilla ice cream on top of a bowl of fresh peaches or blueberries and still maintain my weight. And if my blood sugar goes up from that, okay, no sweat, reset. Then next summer's MBA might be ice cream once a month. How about you? What's your NBA? Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.